discuss what happens when your animal realizes you're sort of in a new mode of communication with it, one that it's never felt before. And by the way, if you go to my website, or the website, coasttocoastam.com, and click on my webcam and do a refresh, that's Dolly. I ran and got her during the break and took a quick photo. That's Dolly. That's our little adoptee from the streets of Manila. Back in a moment. A few weeks after I arrived in Manila and got the condominium, a beautiful condominium in Makati, our cats arrived, and Aaron immediately took to them, fell in love with them, and, all was well. Well, we would take a walk every day to the Pancake House was close by, and we'd go eat at the Pancake House because there was something approximating American food there. And on the way to the Pancake House every day, here would be this little cat. Most Manila cats are wary and they'll scratch you, and most Filipinos won't get anywhere near a cat because they know they'll get scratched. But not this little cat. She would walk up and rub on my leg and jump in my lap and just was, like that, right? So one day it happened, and I finally said, actually, Aaron said it, let's take her to the condo. And so I picked her up, carried her to the condominium, walked past the guards who were laughing like crazy because they knew I'd been suckered, took her up, gave her a bath, gave her a meal, and she wouldn't let any of my other cats anywhere near me. She would chase the other cats away and then run back to the base of my feet and take possession of me. And she just wouldn't let any cat near me, and I was afraid she was going to hurt the other cat. So anyway, long story short, we took her back to the street, left her there, and every day we'd see her. It took about 3 more days. Again, this time we said, that's it. Okay, she's ours. Took her home. The guards laughed again, and we ended up immigrating her to the United States, and there is the picture of her right there. So, Amelia, welcome back. The question was, when you achieve this state and you actually actually get into an animal or get into a state of communication with an animal that's so close that you're both aware of it, is the animal, in this case a cat, aware that you are there?
Yes, very much so. The simplest explanation I can give you is that they're going to pick up the pictures in your mind. So if you're asking them a question, you're sending a particular frequency. Now, let's say that we have an animal on the stage, and I'm going to ask the group, let's ask this cat, what are you afraid of? They send the frequency of fear. They go into the body, the energetic body of the animal, maybe the memory banks of the animal, and I say, write down the first thing that comes to your mind. Is this cat in love? You're going to send them the frequency of love, of the joy of seeing another cat that just makes your heart sing. Write down the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
So this is how we teach the class. You send them fear. Fear is a frequency. It's a wave of energy. You go into that library of records, which is their body. You locate that particular experience, which is almost like walking into a Blockbuster video store and saying, I'm going to look for this particular movie. Now, what traumatized this dog? I'm going to pull that record down and read it. So that's how we can find particular pieces of information. It's by sending different frequencies. We send loneliness, we send sadness, we send are you grieving, we send what makes you happy, what's your favorite activity. We can ask anything about their food, their medicine. Does the medicine have some sort of other reaction? Does it give you a headache? Does it upset your stomach? Okay, so the idea there is that it's almost like being a dolphin. Another way to look at this is that we're developing our sixth sense. We're sending a laser beam, like a flashlight, into the animal's experience to ask a question. It's going to light up the holographic experience that matches the frequency of the feeling.
Okay.
So we can ask anything about their emotions or their history or their relationships.
Can I ask you this? I understand that many times you're looking for I don't know, something that might be physically bothering an animal or something that emotionally is bothering an animal. But I've always sort of wanted to know, take a generally healthy cat, for example. What are its, I mean, we all know what our daily thoughts are like. They're busied and full of taxes and all the rest of the things that this time of year brings. But what about a cat? What is a cat's kind of
I'm going to
daily
make
thinking?
you ask yours, Art. When you get home today, I'm going to make you ask yours.
I'm going to give it a try, but right now, I'm asking you.
All right, cats are a very different breed because they're asleep 90% of the time.
That's true.
All right, so this isn't like a squirrel or any sort of an animal or an elephant or an animal that's awake and busy and very present in the world. The cat is already walking between worlds. They're our most mystical creatures on this planet.
Well, they're nocturnal, and so am I. So I'm generally awake when they're very awake and playing in the middle of the night. I keep the same hours my cats do, put it plainly. And so I've always been kind of curious what a cat, a generally healthy cat, thinks about.
They're all individual, and they all think about things. I think one of the biggest paradigm shifts is how similar all of our experiences are on this planet, that we're all experiencing very similar things. I mean, I have so many stories and so many things I want to tell you. I'll give you a for instance. When I was in South Africa, I went to a cheetah sanctuary, and I went into the pen of each cheetah and asked a whole series of questions, and I had national news on me, so I was under a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
I went into the pen of a cheetah named Joseph, and I said, "What's going on? Are you okay?" And he said, "No." And I said, "What happened?" And I got a wave of sadness. Okay, that's the emotion. That's called clairsentience, clear sensing in Latin, where we can feel the emotion. Then I take it a step further. What's attached to this emotion? I saw a female cheetah. I said, "Okay, what's her name?" I hear the name Charlie. Then I saw 2 cheetah cubs, and he said, "They got sent away." I said, "Okay, where'd they go?" He said, "Up north." I went, "Okay, I think I know where that is. It's a different cheetah sanctuary." "Why did they send your mate away?" "Because they're breeding her with somebody else."
Mm.
I said, "Tell me something funny. Tell me something crazy that you eat that no one would ever believe that you like to eat." And he said, "Squash." "Tell him I love the squash." I said, "Okay, that's ridiculous, because I know for a fact that cheetah don't eat squash." I said, "Well, what do you do for fun? What's your favorite activity?" He said, "Tell him I love the baby bottles that they tie on the ribbons." All right, now, one of the properties of telepathic communication, the way that you know you're not manufacturing it, that it's coming in from the outside, speed. Now, when the telephone rings and you know who's on the other line before you pick it up, and you go, "Oh, that's my mother," it breaks your normal thinking process.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thinking process that you're manufacturing has a rhythm. Now, when it's non-local information, it's simultaneous. All of a sudden, bang, your mother comes into your mind, or you smell her perfume, or you hear her voice, or you hear her calling your name, or you in your own mind say, "Oh, that's my mother." Same thing, something's wrong with someone that you love. When you sense there's a traffic jam, you shouldn't go this way, you should go that way. It happens incredibly fast. The second property is that you couldn't have made that up. I wouldn't have told the African National News that the cheetah said that he likes to eat squash and play with human baby bottles, because I don't want to make a fool out of myself on national television.
Sure.
So the quality of left field, that it's so strange. You ask the dog his favorite food, and he says, "Cream cheese on a bagel." And the person says, "Oh, I gave that to her last night." So that's the second property. The third property is the level of emotion. If you're with an animal and you get hit with a wave of sadness, or you suddenly get a pang in one of your teeth, and you go, "Whoa, I should have this cat's teeth checked."
Mm-hmm.
Or you feel their nausea, or you feel the pain in their lower back.
How do you delineate between what the cat's feeling and same problem remote viewers have and your own imagination?
Because you check your instrument first. If you are a completely clear instrument, let's say that you don't have a bad knee, or let's say that you do, and you're aware of that, so you log that information. Then we ask the donkey on the stage. This really happened in London. Incredible story. I had 150 people in a room, and we had a donkey on the stage. And the owner said to me, the guardian, is the donkey in any pain? I look out and I ask the question. I look out into the audience, and dozens of people had one hand over their left jaw. And they were all kind of going, ow. It was really obvious. Then I started walking around, and 3 people in the audience had drawn something that looked like a little lightning bolt. Now, this is getting to the dun-dun-dun-dun-dun stage.
Yeah.
Where they're making mud mountains in their living room. You know that scene from Closing Encounters.
Yes, of course.
Now, I experience this on a daily basis, that we'll get a group of people, and half of them will come up with the same name. They'll say, oh, this cat's favorite other cat is named Baxter. Or, they get something very similar. So I'm used to this. Well, in this case, I asked the group, what happened to the donkey? All these hands go up, and they say, her lower jaw on the left side still hurts. One of her teeth is broken. And then the guardian of the donkey said that her horse had kicked the donkey in the mouth, had broken one of her teeth on the lower left side. She'd seen a vet 3 times, and her question was, is the donkey still in pain? Now, that's how available it is. If you check your body and you scan your own body and you say, okay, I know this isn't coming from me. Same thing with your emotions. I'm not projecting this pain on the animal. I'm going to sit in absolute silence and clear out my instrument so that I can listen. And then you tune into the frequency of that particular being, vibrate on their frequency. So you're basically flatlining. You're not thinking or feeling. You're only listening. Then all sorts of information is going to come in. With these cheetah, first of all, the person who was keeping the cheetah told me that they would throw squash into Joseph's pen so that he could play with them. He'd bat them around. And they tied human baby bottles on a carousel. And that's how they would exercise the cheetah. And he had a mate named Charlie, and they had 2 cubs, and she got sent up to DeVilt. So they had taken his mate away, and he was absolutely miserable about it.
Sure.
So if you're asking me, I'm going to take this a step further. What do cats think about on a daily basis? I went into the next pen, and I was working with a cat named Kaya. I said, tell me a big secret, because, the news is here, and I want to really prove to these people that you are incredibly intelligent and that you can communicate with us. And Kaya said to me, I ran a body scan on him. He was lying down. He hadn't stood up yet. He said, and this is how we can ascertain where the pain is in their body. My focus kept going to his bladder. And I went, ouch, does this still hurt? He said, no, I'm fine now. But I had 2 cases of cystitis. He said, tell the humans thank you. Their medicine worked. I said, when was the last one? He said, January. And I was there in November. I said, what else is going on with your body? He said, my legs are uneven. So when I stand up, my hips hurt because I've got hip dysplasia. I said, did you have an accident? He said, no, it was a birth defect. I said, okay, tell me something really marvelous. Tell me a secret. He said, well, they're writing a book about me. And I said, about all the cheetah in the sanctuary? And he said, no, just me. He was very happy about this, very full of himself. Well, when I got the keeper to come over, he stood up, had extremely uneven hips, which I couldn't see when he was lying down. They confirmed he had had 2 bladder infections, and the last one had been the prior January, and that they were keeping a journal called the Kaya Journals, which was an online book. And I had asked him, what's the book about? And he said, it's to educate human children about the plight of the cheetah.
Wow.
Cheetah are going to be extinct in 2015. And the cheetah know this.
They know they're going to be extinct.
Of course. I mean, how could they not?
What an overwhelming sadness that knowledge would carry with it. My God.
Well, another one, I went into her pen, and I said, who's your favorite person? And she said, Bob. And I said, what does Bob look like? And she said, well, he's tall, brunette. I said, okay, who else do you love? And she said, oh, I love the black and white dog. I said, you've got to be kidding me. I didn't know Cheetah played with dogs. And she said, oh, no, my best friend's a dog. And tell Bob I just love him. Well, one of the things that happens a lot is that the people will argue with you. All the keepers said, we don't know who you're talking about. There's no one here named Bob. But the black and white dog was a sheepdog that she had grown up with and was actually on the property. And they would put the dog in her pen, and the cheetah would play with the dog. Mm-hmm. And I was on the way out of the sanctuary, and a guy walked in and was introduced to me, and it was Bob. And he was a new volunteer, and he only took care of Jaja, this one particular cheetah. Now, I'm talking about the cats at Cheetah Outreach in Cape Town. So you asked me, what does a cat think about? Well, they think about the same things humans think about. They don't build rocket ships and fly to the moon.
And they don't file tax returns.
They don't file tax returns, but they think about their relationships. The one cheetah was telling me how much he missed his mate, how much he missed his children and was worried about them. They were getting relocated. They were getting sent to another sanctuary. He knew that. They're aware of their health problems. They're thinking about that. They're aware of the games and the toys and the things that they play with.
Uh-huh.
And the most profound connection there was with Kaya, who knew about the book.
Yeah, that's incredible. All right, here's one for you, Amelia. Cats, as you well know, from time to time, play with things that aren't there. You know, they will pounce on absolutely nothing. Roll around on the floor and play with something that's not there. And I've wondered all my life.
What are they seeing?
Yeah.
Well, here's another, for instance, for you. I think I put this story in the first book. So this was in Horse's Mouth. That I was working with a cat, and the cat would go to the bottom of a staircase. She was a very, very old cat. And she'd look up the stairs and scream. And she was doing this every night. Mm-hmm. And the women that owned the cat were so concerned, saying, what is she yelling at? Because she'd scream at the top of her lungs. And I asked her, what do you see? And she showed me the spirit of a golden retriever. And when I told the women, they burst into tears because their golden retriever had passed away the year before. And they had said to her, you know, in prayer, when it's time for the cat to go, will you please come get her? The golden retriever took the kitty. She died very soon after that.
So it was getting close to her time. Right.
Our spectrum of what our eyes can see is so minute. And the spectrum of what our brains process is very small. Cats can see things that we can't see. It doesn't mean they're not there. It just means that we can't see them.
Well, that was exactly my question. If you've ever been inside a cat and looked out through a cat's eyes at one of those moments, I'd just love to know what it is whatever it is that it sees. We'll be right back. Good morning, everybody. Amelia Kincaid is my guest, a top psychic in the U.S., a top animal communicator worldwide, and obviously she's done a lot of world travel. And I'm going to go right back to this question about the unseen things that cats apparently see that we don't. And I'm going to sort of rephrase the question, so we'll be right back. Well, okay, Amelia, you told me a very specific story about a cat that would cry at the base of the stairs and the German Shepherd. The Golden Retriever.
Right.
Anyway, what I was sort of after here, Amelia, was so many times a cat in a joyful moment, and I know you're looking for problems and, trying to diagnose things a lot of times when you communicate, but a lot of times a cat in just a pure moment of absolute unbridled joy will be seen to be playing with something on the floor that obviously we can't see. But it's something the cat either sees or senses or something. I have no idea, but it's a moment of joy. It's a happy invisible something.
Yeah, it is. It is. I did one talk show here in America, and the cat gave me the name. I said, "Who do you love?" And she said, "Oh, I love it when Hope's in the house. Hope's my favorite person." And the woman burst into tears. Her mother's name was Hope, and she had just died. So her mom was in the house. Now, I hear this every day. This is a daily occurrence, and it's a daily occurrence with all my students. I have a woman in England, and the language of miracles, I profiled my 20 best students because my entire purpose was to prove it's not just that I can do this. Everyone can learn, depending on how much discipline and how much determination they have.
Okay.
20 students getting names, dates, details, medical information, histories, incredible things. One of the most incredible students I have is a vet, and she can actually see inside the animal's body before she cuts them open. She's a surgeon. Her name's Dr. Julia Bertram. She's spectacularly brilliant. And when I first met Julia, I was teaching a workshop in Germany. She also speaks German, so she came to see me there. And I am getting around to answering your question. We had a cat on the stage, and I said, "Who does the cat love?" She got 3 things in minute detail: a brown and white guinea pig, a black and white cat, and a little goldfish. Well, the guinea pig had just passed away, but the spirit of the guinea pig was still in the house.
So you're telling me they're seeing and playing with and interacting with spirits.
Absolutely. Just because we can't see them, I see that one of the other paradigms is that the other side isn't out there somewhere. We're cohabitating the same space with other dimensions. So if your ex-wife, who is now in heaven, is in your living room, your cat is going to see her. And if she bends down and pets the cat's heads, they would tell me that. Or if you have all sorts of different spirit beings in the house that the cats are playing with, they can tell me what they are, whether they're mice or elves or whatever.
Okay, that absolutely answers that, and it's kind of what I guess I suspected. Can you talk to any sort of animal? And I guess right on down to insects. You mentioned insects, so you can literally communicate with any animal? Any
living being is thinking, feeling, having sensations, and can be accessed through a quantum process. So even if, our scientists have some pretty absurd ideas, really condescending and ridiculous ideas, like lobsters have no feelings because they don't have a central nervous system, or that any sort of insect that doesn't have a nervous system that mirrors ours, therefore can't think and feel. Well, unless you can actually talk to them and find out directly, what does a cricket feel? What does a rat feel? How much can a mouse feel? I have one story, and I think this is in the language of miracles, where I was talking to rats. And the rat said to me, "Tell Mommy that I'm with Susie." And Susie, and explained to me that it was a blonde woman who had passed away. The rat that I was talking to was in spirit. She had passed away. And then the woman told me that her mother's name was Susie and that she was blonde, and laughed and said, "Well, the rat couldn't possibly be with my mother. My mother hated rats. But every living being can be accessed, and you can have a conversation.
Okay. All right. Once you've realized all of this about living beings, all living beings, then it invokes a lot of questions about, for example, eating animals, performing experiments on animals for the benefit of human beings. All of that jumps out at you as you realize that they're as sacred as the next living thing. Now, how do you feel about that?
I think that it's going to take a lot of time. And over the decades, things are gradually starting to evolve, if we're here long enough to even have things evolve. I'm a big believer in free-range food, and I think there's a big difference between having some animal that was factory-farmed. There's a difference between death and torture. We're all going to die, and I'm not promoting the people out there that are going to live their life off steak. But the point being, if an animal is tortured every moment of its life, I'm more concerned about the quality of their life than the quantity of life.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a big difference between a lamb that was standing by the side of the road out in a beautiful field with its family under the stars in the rain in New Zealand and a lamb that is in a factory farm being tortured daily. I don't think we have the right to do that. I am 100% anti-vivisection. That means I don't believe in laboratory animals at all, under any circumstances.
Yeah, well, once you embrace the rest of this, you would have to feel that.
Yeah, I don't think we have the right to torture other animals. And so much of the research about vivisection indicates it doesn't work anyway. There are over 100 types of cancers that can be cured in rats that can't be cured in humans. Things don't necessarily cross species lines the way that we think they do. And if we could learn how to simply tune in, they could teach us, and we could learn more about our bodies by using our intuition.
Well, maybe you can answer this. Obviously, or at least, on the outside, some animals are clearly, from our perspective, more intelligent than other animals. Is that, in fact, true? And as you talk to these animals, is that apparent to you?
I don't believe in that kind of hierarchy. And I think if we're judging it against human intelligence, if we're comparing it to, is this fox as intelligent as a human? Well, it may be the most intelligent fox within the arena of what it means to be a fox, or to be a badger, or to be a sparrow. It's a completely different paradigm. Our idea of intelligence is a hierarchy that simply doesn't work. That's yesterday's science. And so much cruelty has been rationalized in the name of that we're more intelligent than they are. No, we're not. Some of the most intelligent conversations I've ever had in my life were with rats.
With rats?
Rats are incredibly emotional and intelligent beings. And the fact that cats are in are in labs, it's just the work. If there is a devil, it is his work.
So you can't measure things from a human perspective of intelligence, and you might find a rat to be as intelligent or able to convey ideas to you as much as a cat or a dog?
Absolutely. And when we do embrace that, and we're able to reach out and say, what can you teach me? We can learn more from elephants and from lions and from deer. I mean, they all have things that they need to teach human beings. And we've put them beneath us. Therefore, we can't learn from our environment. We certainly aren't protecting our environment. We're not doing anything.
No, we don't seem to be. That's for sure.
Champion and cherish these beings that are dependent on us.
All right. You have something called X-ray vision, or what you call X-ray vision. Is that fair to say?
It's fair to say, and that's what I'm talking about when I said the vet can see inside the body.
Right.
Okay, let me give you a thumbnail sketch of this. Let's say that we're looking at a horse, and we're going to do a medical scan on that horse. That means we're going to go into the body of the horse and very, very gently and slowly feel our way through that body, only with the horse's permission. Because sometimes animals don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. But if they do want to do that, every organ is vibrating at a particular frequency. So it's as if it's all in harmony like a band. The liver could be the string section, and the stomach could be the flutes. I mean, it's a crazy analogy, but it works. Now, let's say that one of those organs is out of balance. So it's not vibrating at the proper level where it should be. It's going to be out of tune, or it's going to feel off. If there's cancer in the body, it's going to be like there's timpani crashing over the flute solo. So if there's something wrong within the energetic field, you're going to feel it.
Okay, well, this is obviously at the very next level. In other words, establishing some kind of communication in the way you described earlier in the crash course. And now what you're describing is going to be the next level of learning, because you're talking about sort of scanning and recognizing individual organs that are not vibrating at the right level.
Mm-hmm. And you'll get little tinges of pain or discomfort or nausea in your own body. Now, the first level really is a mental ping pong, where we do something very simple, like what color is the dog's food bowl? We may have 100 people in the room, and so many people say blue and white, blue and white, blue and white, blue and white. The exceptional student may say blue and white striped with a little brown bone in the center of the ceramic bowl. And they're spot on, because they're able to go into that animal's mind just for a moment and envision that you're hungry, look out the dog's eyes and see what color's the food bowl. We say, is the dog in love? What does his favorite other dog in the whole world look like? I can't tell you how many people within one room will say, oh, it's a little white Bichon, it's a little white scruffy poodle, it's a little white something. I mean, one of the ways that we know that this works is because there's so much uniformity. It's scientifically impossible. And then when they start yelling out names, it's shocking. When you've got a whole group of people saying, oh, well, the owner's sister's name is Jessie. Jessie, Jackie, she's blonde, it's her sister, blah, blah, blah. And then all those people are right. So we may start with very simple things like favorite food, favorite activity, what's your favorite toy look like, where's the cat's favorite spot in the house. And I'll actually have people who can draw the entire house. And where is the couch? And where are the windows? and it's oftentimes the most skeptical students. They'll come in saying, oh, I can't do it. They end up being spectacular. The medical gestalt is a little bit more, and then the emotional body. You're going to pick up a lot of the different feelings from the animal. And you may hear those pieces of information in words, you might not. And Dr. Mitchell helped me describe this. It's not that the animal's talking to you. It's not that they're sending you thoughts in English words. Because my German students hear the animals in German. Mm-hmm. My Norwegian students hear the animals in Norwegian. You're going to pick up the frequency, and your brain makes sense of it, and your brain turns it into something that you understand.
Okay, we know what reasoning is, Amelia. I think I know what reasoning is, working something out in my mind. In your communication with animals, is there a sign that animals go through any kind of reasoning process?
Far, far more than people give them credit for. I'll tell you one of my favorite analogies. You'll love this story. I've got a cat who helps me teach my workshops in England, in the Lake District in England. And when we first brought this cat in, we asked the cat what's so special about the other cat at home. Well, the other cat at home is blind. The cat in the workshop was taking enormous pieces of tree trunks and dragging them into the house, and was leaving tree branches in strategic spots throughout the house. Well, the woman kept taking the tree branches and hauling them back outside and leaving them in the yard. Well, then the cat, who could see, would bring the tree branches back in. He would leave one at the base of the stairs. He would leave one in front of the television so that the blind cat couldn't get behind the TV and get tangled up in the cords. He left one at the corner of the kitchen to show where to turn to get into the kitchen to get to the food. The woman finally realized the cat was creating borders for the blind cat.
That's amazing.
So when he got to the bottom of the stairs, he knew he had to turn right. Now that is tool making, which is what Jane Goodall was so famous for when she discovered that chimpanzees use tools. And wouldn't you call that reasoning?
Yes.
I would.
Yes, I would too. I
think that's undeniable.
They do help each other out, don't they?
Well, that's amazing.
That's amazing, but I had I had one cat, Amelia, that helped one of my other cats who was not actually my new cat, who was not housebroken, and Abby Dose would go back and help this cat and show this cat how to dig and then turn around and poop and, cover it up the way cats instinctually do. Well, this cat was having a little trouble with that instinct, and Abby would go back and actually cover it up and show the cat how to do it. Sounds crazy, but trust me, it happened.
And probably so that the other one either wouldn't get in trouble with the humans.
Exactly.
So she was sparing the other cat the humiliation of getting in trouble.
That's exactly right.
I mean, for every story that there is out there, and the next book I'm going to work on is about animals who save lives, of animals who jump on the bed, wake the person up from a deep sleep in the middle of the night, and this is a true story, and then the woman found out that her bedspread was about to catch on fire because her space heater was too close to her bed. Well, her little dog jumped up on the bed frantically, scratched her face and woke her up and saved her life. Now,
yes, believe me, I've read these stories on the air. I know it's true.
Is that not reasoning? I mean, I don't think we can. I don't think we can write that off as instinct.
No. Here's an off-the-wall question, and I had it happen once, so I'd love the answer to it if you think you might even know. This lady has a cat who, despite the presence of 2 cat boxes, poops right outside the box instead of inside the box. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh, sure. And I'll tell you, there's a very practical solution to this. I have an igloo, so she has to climb up some stairs and into a plastic igloo so that she can't hang her little tuchus over the side. Sometimes it's just because they say, well, I'm standing in the sand, and they don't quite realize. Now, if there's a wall there, they don't have any choice. Everything's going to stay inside the box.
So something they have to climb through to get into the box.
It has a lid on it. So there are walls. Unless it's a deliberate protest. And it could be a protest against something, that the box isn't clean enough or the cat's upset about something.
Okay, and only you talking to the cat or somebody capable of doing what you do could find that out for sure. All right, Amelia Kincaid is my guest. When we come back, we're going to open the phone lines, and I know many of you have zillions of questions, so if you think you've got a good one for Amelia, the numbers will be coming up. I'm Art Bell. Music. Music, as almost all of you know, I think, can take you to a completely different place. It certainly is true for me. I can be in the very worst of moods and throw on a set of headphones, listen to some of my favorite music, like the stuff you hear on the show, and it'll just take me to a completely different place. And Ethan in Chico, California asks, I was just wondering what cats and dogs think of music. Do they enjoy it? Do they understand what it is? Do they, I would add, get taken to a different place in the way we do? We'll ask Amelia in a moment. Well, all right. Our guest is Amelia Kincaid. The Language of Miracles and Straight from the Horse's Mouth are her books. I'm assuming you can find them on Amazon.com and all the normal places, Amelia, correct?
You bet. Thank you for that shameless plug.
No problem.
I love it.
Thank you for being here. What about music?
Well, they absolutely love it, but not all animals like the kind of music we think they like. If there's a piano in the house, the cats are going to tell me about it. Cats love piano music. I've always had jazz cats myself. So they love jazz. But, you know, people who leave the radio on thinking that animals are just going to want to hear human jabber and commercials, that's not necessarily true. One time I had a workshop where the teacher was a parrot, and I said, what's your favorite thing? And she said, when Mommy sings to me and dances around. Oh. And a lot of the people in the room got the same thing. And one time I spoke to a German Shepherd who said his favorite thing in the world was when Daddy would ride it with him in the pickup and sing to the ridiculous music on the radio, which turned out to be, Clarence Clearwater Revival?
Sure.
And my own cat, Mr. Jones, who was one of the stars of The Language of Miracles, who's now in heaven, his favorite piece of music, and the only song he would ever sing along to, was Chopin's Nocturne in E minor. And whenever I played this one particular song, I promise you, I'm not making this up, my big Maine Coon cat would come out and meow along to it.
That's what I've got, by the way. I've got 2 Maine Coons.
Oh, they're so close to my heart.
They're brilliant cats. They're very smart.
They're very, very special, magical
All right.
cats.
I've got a lot of people who want to talk to you, so let's see what we've got out there. Mike in Ohio, you're on with Amelia Kincaid. Hi.
Good evening, Art and Amelia.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Art. I have 4 cats inside and at least 3 outside that I take care of.
Yeah.
Amelia, it was either Edgar Casey or Seth that said that the sphinxes of Egypt, which there are many of, represented that the soul was drawn here initially to the cat's body. Then after reincarnating, could the soul inhabit a human body? So, Amelia, I wondered if you had ever experienced anything that would verify that idea.
All the time. And this is so controversial. And it also eliminates that idea of human hierarchy in a food chain. If I'm working with animals who are telling me that they used to be human, or if I've got a horse that says it used to be a cat, or a cat that says it used to be... Now, this happens all the time.
Very controversial. You obviously believe in reincarnation.
Oh, sure.
And you believe in cross-species reincarnation.
I didn't set out to prove that. And even when I wrote the first book, I didn't think that that was true. I thought that animals pretty much stayed within their own species boundaries. And then, over time, I've seen it happen too often. And I had one gal who came to me for a reading years ago, and her little dog said that, her ferret said that it used to be a black and white dog that had died the year before. And the girl burst into tears and said that the reason, and the spirit told me that it came back as a ferret because she wasn't allowed to have dogs in her new apartment building. So he wanted to be with her, and he had to take another form, so he came back as a ferret. They'll come back in any form that they can in order to be close to us.
That's remarkable.
And the African shaman believe, and have always believed, that their ancestors are lions, and that the lions are sacred beings. And I work down there with those shaman, and they do believe that humans and lions are interchangeable. And even Casey didn't necessarily believe that all species can reincarnate as other species, although I think that now we can, but that dolphins and humans were interchangeable.
Wow.
Which means we better take a better a closer look at how we're taking care of them.
I guess so. David in California, you're on with Amelia.
Amelia, first-time caller. I love listening to what you're talking about. I had a finch come to me one day and come in my bedroom, fly in my house, needed healing, and I'm a healer. And I healed it, and when it left in the morning, I carried it out in my hand, and it was ready to go. It was healed. And it turned and looked at me, and I could almost hear its voice and said, thank you. Now, my question that I wanted from that time to get better at speaking to the animals, I feel very awkward at speaking with them. What, if you could give a little more detail of exactly how you accomplish that, what is exactly going on in your thinking and what you're feeling at those moments when you're speaking to these animals?
Trust your first impulse. When the information comes in from the outside, it's lightning fast, and you're going to get a flash of a picture, a word, a feeling, a taste, a sensation. It's subtle and it's quick. And if you learn how to send a thought, isolate one single thought as your question, send that thought, and then go black. Move into that silence inside your own heart, where you're sitting in absolute quiet, feeling nothing but love. The information comes flying in. And then you learn how to listen to things that are moving that quickly on such a subtle frequency.
All right, Amelia, let's say you're in a house with 3 cats, as I am, and you want to specifically speak with or understand the feeling of just one cat. Once you're in the place that you described in the crash course earlier, is it merely your intent that will establish the communication with the animal you want to establish the communication with? Is it just your intent that will enable that?
It's your intent. You're directing your consciousness. So you're directing that flashlight into that particular cat. Now what's going to happen is they're going to yell over each other. That one of them's going to say, yeah, well, I don't care what he thinks because what I want is this. And you never listen to me, Daddy, because I've been trying to talk to you all along, and what are you doing? They will do that.
Okay. All right, and you will hear that.
And pretty soon you're going to have a party line with all 3 cats saying, oh, my God, he's listening.
Yeah.
For the first time, we're all going to talk at once.
Right. That's kind of where I was going with that question about whether they are suddenly aware and even shocked by...
They're shocked. The first thing that happens every time I walk... If I go into a zoo, the animal's going to say to me, why can you hear me?
Yeah.
The orangutans, the gorillas, they're going to say, why can you hear me?
Okay, Margie in Oregon, you're on with Amelia.
Hi, Amelia. After I had a beloved cat put to sleep, I felt, I guess you'd say, a mental connection with him in the spirit realm, and he was very upset that he no longer had his body because he still felt alive. And a few months later, this cat showed up at my door that looked exactly like him, and I always wondered, did he... I wondered if he went and found a cat that looked like him so that he could be with me vicariously through this other cat, or if he actually possessed this other cat.
I love your show, Art, because where else can we talk about things like this in America on national radio?
Nowhere.
It's a very advanced question, and you're right on the money. One of the things they can do is they share space.
Oh.
And sometimes you'll say, well, my cat all of a sudden started doing something that he's never done before, but my old cat used to do this.
Exactly. He did that.
Okay, This is no different from a person who can channel angels or entities. The cat can channel the other cat. The other cat can visit you through the body of your new cat. And yes, they can do a walk-in process where one spirit actually leaves the body and another spirit comes in.
Oh.
But I feel like in your specific instance, I think that your other one is sharing space and visiting you. Mine do it all the time.
That's something very different. So sharing space, meaning they just sort of allow the other spirit to inhabit that body.
My vet sees it so often she calls it piggybacking. That the one that just died comes into the body of the one that you have. And these are the things that I hear all the time. That the new cat has never jumped into the bathtub and played with the water. The old cat used to do it every day.
Yeah.
The old cat dies, and all of a sudden the new cat jumps into the bathtub and plays with the water.
All right, Daniel in Houston, you're on with Amelia. Hi.
Amelia, how you doing?
Hi, Daniel.
I got kind of a weird problem, I guess. I've got one of these automatic cat box cleaners. And
they don't like those very much.
They hate them. Oh, my God, they hate them.
How's that working out for you?
Well, mine is working out fairly well, except for the old man in the house, who I've had about 10 years. He's a Siamese cat, and his name is Worf. And while he was in the house all by himself, he used the cat box without any kind of problem. But when I recently got a second cat and then a third, excuse me, he will get into that box and he'll strictly go on the right-hand side of the box, and then he will scrape all the sand from the left-hand side to cover it up, thereby making it so it won't recycle anymore. And he's been doing this over and over and over. Now,
well, that's reasoning.
Huh?
That's reasoning.
Is he mad at me? Is he trying to tell me something? And is there anything I can do to retrain this guy?
Okay, I would sanction him off. If you can give him his own separate box in a separate room, that's what I would do.
Well, they'll all go take it. I had Comet, who was kind of mentally challenged because he had been starved as a kitten. And so he was scared of everything. And somebody sent us one of those automatic cat boxes, and he thought that thing came straight from the devil. He wouldn't have a thing to do with it. Anything that moved automatically over what he had just done, or when he just left it, was just straight from the devil as far as he was concerned.
Well, they make a horrible noise.
They do.
I tried it once, and I had 4 kittens that would run for their lives and then stop using the box because it has this terrible mechanism in it, like a monster. I think, now here's the difference, though, Art. You're saying that they would all use the box, but that's before you learned how to talk to them. If you know how to talk to them, and you give the old king of the house his own box and his own room, and you tell the other ones, you do not touch his territory. He is the king in this house. He's got his own box. He's got his own stuff. Give everyone their own possessions. When you can talk to them, then it's going to change things.
Okay. So you could even explain, look, this is an automatic box. It's not going to hurt you. It's simply going to clean things up after you're gone. Don't be worried about the noise. And you could impart that message.
Right, but it certainly sounds like he's protesting the presence of the other 2 cats.
Oh, yeah. Well, it sounds to me like he's figured out a way to jam the thing up.
Pretty hilarious. What a smart guy, huh?
Yeah, what a smart guy. Lee in Columbus, Georgia, you're on with Amelia.
Hi, Amelia. Hi, Art. How you doing?
Fine.
Hi, Lee.
I've got kind of a touching story and a little bit of a question. We had a dog. We had her, ended up having her about 20 years before she passed away. But her and my grandfather were real close. My grandfather passed away about 12 years ago, and when he did, I'm sorry, it's kind of hard for me to tell it. She howled like she was in terrible pain for about 4 hours the day that he died. We lived in Georgia, and he lived in New Jersey. And, we didn't tell her that he died, if they were coming to visit, we'd tell her he's coming to visit. She'd get all excited. And they said she howled when he died, and the day of his funeral, she was with a friend of ours, and he told us that all day she would not stop howling at all, the whole day, like she was in pain, like, her heart was ripped out. Her friend was gone. But, my question for you would be, me and my wife had a rabbit. It passed away, and my grandmother had a stroke. They were shocked that she survived. about 2 weeks after she had her stroke, the rabbit passed away. And I've always heard that close family animals will give up their lives almost to save a human life. Do you believe in that?
Absolutely. And see, these stories, I mean, I could go on for years and years and years saying animals can think and feel and telepathy is real, and then you can prove it to me in one story by saying that a dog that wasn't even in the same state as the man, it cries all day the day that the man dies. Absolutely they're in contact. Absolutely an animal can shoulder the burden and even take on the illness that someone else has in order to slow down the person's passage. But a lot of the time they go together. And
well, no question about the psychic ability of animals. It was 2020, I think. I'm sure you saw it, Amelia. If you didn't, you've got to. Did a piece testing dogs. And what they did is they would put cameras. They put cameras in the home. And then they would have the owner start home at an unusual time of day. I mean, after all, you know, an animal knows the time of day when the owner usually comes home. But they would fool the animal, and they would start the owner home 5 hours ahead of time. Inevitably, and without question, and 2020 showed it, those animals knew the owner was on the way home.
Art is the work of Dr. Rupert Sheldrake.
Yes.
And Rupert actually took my workshop in London. He was keynoting the field conference, the quantum physics conference, and they brought me in as the animal link. And Rupert actually took my workshop, which was one of the biggest compliments I've ever had in my life. But the book is called Dogs Who Know When Their Owners Are Coming Home.
Right.
And he's done the most extensive scientific research with double-blind experiments and cameras. And yeah, you can't deny it. The dog would run to the door 10 minutes before the person comes home, no matter what time of day the person comes home.
Is it because, Amelia, because they don't have the busyness that we humans have, that their psychic abilities are naturally enhanced, naturally stronger than ours?
No, I think our abilities are that strong. We have our abilities shamed out of us. In Western culture and in our modern world, we were taught that we're not supposed to be able to communicate with animals. We're not supposed to trust our intuition, so we're constantly second-guessing ourselves.
Well, exactly, but they do have a lead on us in that while I'm sure they have little daily concerns, they don't have the kind of lineup of to-do things that human beings have. Or maybe I'm...
We are their to-do list. We are their main concern. They're focused on us.
Ah, okay.
And how much they love us. That's all they think about all day.
That's unconditional love. Amelia Kincaid is my guest. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a question for her, you know the portal numbers. From the high desert and the great American Southwest, I'm Art Bell. Spent quite a bit of time at a nature preserve north of Johannesburg in Africa, and that is a land of the big ones. There's no question about that. Amelia Kincaid is my guest, and here's something for her to consider with the break that's coming up. We touched on the environment, not very heavily, certainly, but did touch on it. Right now, one of the things that's wrong with our environment is the bees are disappearing. The bees that pollinate our crops are disappearing. Where are the bees going, and what the hell is wrong? We'll ask in a moment. Amelia, I don't know if you've been following the stories or not, but bees across the United States are disappearing. It's terribly worrisome. They pollinate very important crops for us, and perhaps you haven't seen the stories and haven't had a chance to speak with a bee lately, but we'd sure like to know what's going on.
Wow, that's fascinating. I'm actually going to have bees in my workshop in England this summer for the first time, and I haven't followed that because I'm not in the country very often. But our ecosystem is so fragile, and what we're doing as we disturb everything through global warming and pesticides and pollution, we throw off the balance. And Mother Nature is an equilibrium-seeking creature. So she's constantly trying to heal herself. So she's trying to set things right. I mean, my first instinct would be that it has to do with fertilizer and pollution and pesticides.
And that's probably right on, I would imagine.
Something to them must not smell right. You know, one of the most amazing new discoveries in medicine right now is about wasps. That not only do they have dogs that are sniffing cancer, there are wasps being trained to sniff cancer, bombs, and dead bodies.
Wow.
And they do it with a sugar substance. So they're giving them a treat. And the wasps are actually able to smell cancer. So they must have such an acute sense of smell. And my first instinct is that something doesn't smell right.
Okay, well, if you get a chance to commune with a bee, please let us know. It's very, very worrisome, and you might look into it when you get an opportunity. They're disappearing all across the country.
Wow.
Joan in New York, you're on with Amelia.
Hi, Art and Amelia. Thank you so much for taking my call, and good morning.
Good morning.
I have a 14-year-old little male peekapoo who's sleeping right here next to me. He's 10 pounds. His name is Pumpkin, and he's readying to cross over. I just want to mention a little something about him. I had a profound past life experience where I was a walking teacher in the Holy Land, and when I went to cross over, I sat down beneath a very huge tree, and I put my staff down, which I carried with me when I went from place to place. And as I felt my own energy leave my body, the energy out of the staff came out and moved with me, and to my amazement, it was Pumpkin who was with me now, and I knew instantly that he was my constant companion then in that life as he is in this life. Now, what's happening with Pumpkin is he is choking and coughing and having spasms in the throat, and I wanted to know how 3 times the vet wanted us to put him down, but I didn't feel he was ready to go. I wanted to know how I could make him as comfortable as possible.
And how do you know?
Friend.
And how do you know when your animal's ready?
Right. Ask him to give you a sign so that he can let you know when he's ready to go. And he will.
He'll let you know.
He'll let you know. Now, whether that's crying out in the middle of the night, that's the most common thing. Whenever they're about to cross, they see spirits who come for them at 3 or 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And they usually pass in the early morning hours. But you can call your angels, your ancestors, to come take him. And this is going to go in the most perfect divine timing. And he's going to have a beautiful, peaceful passage. And I do feel it soon. I think you're right about that.
Okay. Jenna in Washington, you're on the air with Amelia Kincaid. Hi.
Hello, Art and Amelia. Thank you for taking my call. I really appreciate it. I'm calling tonight because our dear cat Simba disappeared in December. And in the past few weeks, we've received a few phone calls of possible sightings of her around 1 mile from our home. And I want to know, what can I do to bring her home? I mean, I'm feeling confused about it. Does she not want to come home? Can she not find her way? Is it really her that they're seeing? And I'm putting all my energy out there to visualize her coming home safely. And my whole family have had dreams of her coming home safely. And I was just really excited to hear the topic tonight and want to know, yeah.
You're in your most receptive state right before you fall asleep at night.
Okay.
So right before you fall asleep at night, reach out to her in your mind. And from a physical standpoint, one of the things you can do is turn on your porch lights or flicker the porch lights and say, run toward the flickering light.
Okay.
Now, if you upset her in some way, do you know of a reason that she would have left?
A possible reason, she left Christmas Eve, and the night before I was really upset at FedEx, and I was screaming on the phone. And 2 months before that, we brought a new puppy home.
Oh.
So there's a couple possible reasons.
Yeah. Well, the dog is more likely.
Okay.
But you can speak to her, listen to her right before you go to sleep at night. And if you need to negotiate that dog's going to be put out of her space so that she can have her castle back,
Okay.
then you can negotiate this.
Great.
Okay, well, that brings up another topic. For example, Amelia, if you have two cats and you bring a third into the mix, as I did not long ago, you're in for, I don't know, 2 or 3 months of...
Hell.
Well, yes. Yes.
Yeah, hell.
Yes. And then at some point, I'm not sure what happens, but I guess it's always worked, but it's taken time. And finally, they all are friends, and they will all sort of curl up in one big cat bundle together now, but it's taken a long time.
Well, it does. It does. I mean,
is there a way to hurry that process along?
Well, no. Not really. I mean, one of the analogies is that we say that if you had one cat and you go out and you get another cat and you bring the second cat home and you say, okay, look, you're going to be living with this other cat for the rest of your life. That would be like if someone went out and they said, okay, Art, I have an arranged marriage for you. I found a woman. She's East Indian. She doesn't speak any English, and she weighs 280 pounds. But she's your wife now, and you're going to be living with her for the rest of your life. Have fun. That's what our cats feel like. Our cats are like, what the? I didn't plan this. I didn't pick this cat out. And we thrust these animals together and say, lump it, get along. Yeah. Now, one of the solutions is that when you bring in the new cat, say to the pre-existing cat, I got you a pet. I got this new cat for you. So you teach the new cat all the house rules. You're in charge. You're still in command. It's your territory, but you teach them everything about how to live here, how to help the people, how to get along in this household.
Yeah, that would make sense to a cat, all right.
It does make sense, and it does work better.
Jennifer in Tennessee, you're on the air with Amelia. Hi.
Hi, good morning, both of you.
Good morning.
Yes, I am visually impaired, and I have had several pets and been acquainted with several other animals, and it has been my experience that within I'd say up to the maybe third or fourth time I've seen that animal, a particular animal, they will realize that I have a disability and will tend to either look out for me or realize that they need to stay out of my way, otherwise they may get stepped on. And that just, to me, shows extreme intelligence, because there are people who can see, there are humans who can see who don't realize that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Isn't that amazing? I'm so glad you called. I had a guy come to one of my seminars who was a Navy captain, and he trained seeing eye dogs for the blind. And he said it was a regular occurrence that the humans would say, oh, I see this, I see that, I see, landmarks in the neighborhood, that there was no way that they could know were there. And when he said, how is it that you could see those? The people say, well, I saw it through the eyes of the dog.
Or, even the dog. I've had a service dog before, and I'll tell you this, he was the closest friend I have ever had.
Oh.
And I had to return him due to circumstances out of my control. But for the 2 years that I was with him, I never felt alone, and I never felt unsafe.
How beautiful.
Well, I guess, Amelia, somebody in her condition, if they could learn to do what you do, could actually see through the eyes of their companion, yes?
Right. Yeah, I worked with children in Mexico City this last summer that were not only blind, but they were also deaf. And there are animals that can help guide these kids. And if the children can actually learn how to be more in tune telepathically with the animal, of course that child's going to be safer.
Well, say. All right. Kathleen in Applegate, Oregon, you're on with Amelia. Hi.
Hi, Art and Amelia. What a great program. I'm just loving this. I have a spirit medicine and interspecies communication practice myself in Oregon, and I agree with Amelia that the animals are here to teach us. And my question, given the grim state of the world, with what the humans are doing to themselves and to the planet, what are you hearing from the other species, Amelia, about how we can save ourselves and the planet? In my daily interspecies work, including with my neighbors, the Sasquatch family, I'm really getting that it's dropping into our hearts, that there's no substitute for that. It really is a work of the heart. And I just wanted to hear what you were getting from the other species.
Well, we're here at 10 minutes to 2. We're going to cut to the chase. I think what we're doing on this planet is we're educating people for the next planet. I think we're educating people to learn how to take care of a planet, live in harmony with the world, the water, take care of their atmosphere, take care of their trees, take care of their animals. Because this is just one blink in time, in eternity. And we can't either colonize Mars or go anywhere else with the education level that we have. Because what we've done is we have completely trashed and destroyed our planet. So what would make the next world any better than this if we don't learn something new? And what this is at this moment is a last-ditch educational effort to try to raise consciousness as quickly as possible and get people to learn how to love and care for their other living beings. Yes. But it's not just for Earth. It's for eternity.
Yeah, and for our souls. Billy in Iowa, you're on with Amelia.
Oh, good morning. I have a question. I tend to bring home a lot of the stray cats, and I help them and try to find homes for them and everything. And I made the mistake of bringing home one cat that was sick. She has feline AIDS, and there's no vaccination. There's no cure for it.
Right.
And all 7 of my cats that I've had for a couple of years now have been exposed to that. So I'm scared to death that it is a death sentence for all of them. And the one, I took the cat in, they put her down, and it's like the vet said that I should just have them all put down to avoid.
Oh gosh, no, absolutely not.
Okay, it's like it's been
absolutely okay. They develop immunities more than we give them credit for. Now they're out being exposed to cats that have leukemia and cats that have AIDS. Now this is no different from a human virus. You're not going to catch every virus you're exposed to. If you were, we'd all be dead.
Right.
Okay, we're exposed to things every day. What I would do in your situation, I'd put them on some really good vitamins, and you can get vitamins at PetSmart or Petco. Boost their immunities. There's a herb called olive leaf. And
what is it called?
Olive leaf. And
okay.
It's the only thing that we know of that is antiviral, antifungal, and antibacterial. It helps fight viral infections and just boost the immune system. And tell those kitties every day, you're strong, you're healthy, you're fabulous in every way, you have perfect, radiant, dynamic health, you're not going to get sick.
Yeah, it's like I've been crying and telling them that I am so sorry, that I did this to you.
Well, maybe you haven't. Now, should the other cats at some point, Amelia, be tested?
I would, but at this point, just because they've been exposed to it does not mean they're going to get it.
How soon would she likely know if they've got it?
If there are any symptoms. If you're looking for runny noses, runny eyes, upset tummies.
Okay. A cat that gets this kind of leukemia will have what kind of lifespan ahead of it?
It varies. I've known cats that had feline leukemia that lived out their entire lives. Some carry it, some are exposed to other cats, and the other cats never get it. It's not a death sentence.
Okay. All right. Ashley in Michigan, you're on with Amelia Kincaid. Hello.
Hi. I always wanted a dog, but unfortunately we live close to a highway, so we always have chosen against that. Well, I ended up getting a kitten, and she's about a year old now, and she plays fetch. And she,
I love that.
literally brings, you know those little milk cap rings, that the rings when you untwist the milk jug?
Yeah.
They come off. She just loves those. Those are her favorite toys. And I was just wanting to let everybody know that, you know, you don't need to go buy your cat toys that they're not going to play with, because there isn't a cat I haven't known that doesn't love these.
Well, you know what? I think you're so right about that. Because no expensive toy would ever take the place of one of those plastic things that comes off a milk carton.
That's right.
That's it.
A bottle cap, those are their favorite things. But
Yeah,
I love kitties that fetch. A lot of Maine Coons will fetch pieces of candy.
Yeah?
Yes.
It's a Maine Coon trait, too.
Well, thank you, and I just wanted to let everyone know out there that they're the perfect toys.
Oh, gosh. Well, enjoy her.
I will. Thank you.
Okay, is there anything that we haven't covered in the interview? There's just so many people that want to talk to you, but we're coming to the end of it, Amelia. Is there anything that we should have covered that we haven't?
Well, we could do about another 426 hours, I think. This went by quicker than any interview I've ever given in my life.
Well, you know, you can kind of sense it from the calls. We're all animal lovers, and so it's, I don't know, it's very close to my heart, and very close to obviously many hearts out there, and so yeah, we could do a lot of hours on it. Your books, again, are available. Aren't they, still on Amazon and so forth and so on?
Yeah, they're both on Amazon, and also my website, Art, is just my name. It's www.ameliakincaid.com. It's 2 Ks, Kinkade. And I have a listing on that website of my schedule, everywhere I'm teaching. The books are available. My meditation CD has a very, very slow, thorough medical gestalt.
Okay.
And that's about learning how to get inside their body.
Out of time. Amelia, thank you.
You're welcome.
And good night. It was a wonderful interview. Listen, everybody, I'll be gone next weekend in Los Angeles for that award. A great honor indeed, and I will see you the following weekend. From the high desert, I'm Art Bell.